Hey guys, alright, I'm back with another YouTube video. I know it's been a long time, but I am back, and of course it's with another hair video. It's gonna be boho knotless box braids. Y'all know my favorite, but every time I learn something new about the style or I find a new way to do it, I love to come to you guys and just share it with you all. So these are the knotless box braids that I have recently installed in my head. It is 99 braids total, and they are 30 to 35 inches long. It took me 24 hours to do them, not being dramatic or anything. It just took a long time because it's just a very detailed look and you have to be very patient, so I couldn't rush the process. I'm going to show you guys everything. I'm going to give you the details on the brand that I use, everything, my new technique, because now I feel like it's foolproof, and you know, like I'm feeling unstoppable when it comes to braids now. I feel like I got the concept down packed. It only took me like 10 years, so I feel like I can give you guys, you know, shortcuts or tips just to help you get to where I am, so that you're able to accomplish styles like this on your own. In New York, this style costs between like $300 to $450, and who's paying that? So yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna show you guys how I accomplished this look. A heads up, in the clip where I am talking to you guys live, I do have to blur out my shirt because I didn't realize that my ring light was going to enhance my shirt and make it see-through, and it is not normally see-through. So I had to make sure I didn't get canceled, y'all, and I did have to blur out my top, and it is a little distracting, but I'm sorry. I was not refilming this because it's literally kind of impossible. I mean, I could have came to you in live in my natural, like with my hair already done, but I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I do end up blurring out my top in majority of those clips, just to make sure, you know, I'm not making y'all see something against your will. But anyways, let's get into this style, and I'll be back to you guys. Hey guys, I know it's been a while. I am back with another hair video. I know it's been a long while. So I'm back with two brands because I wanted to try two new brands for my hair. I know my hair look crazy. It's about to get done. I don't really care. But I got YG Wigs. I think this is 18-inch body wave, double drawn. And it's the braiding hair. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like because I took one out because I needed to do a quality check. It's very good, very full. Love it down. So this is how it looks. I got two bundles. I want really, really full boho braids. Sorry, I'm stuck. All right, this is how it looks. Very pretty. Ignore my nails. Y'all know my nails won't get done until the video's done with. Very pretty, very full all the way to the end. Okay, this is about to be eat down. And then for the other brand, it's called Gyal Braids. I can't show the front of the package because it has my address on it. And if you guys hear a little noise, the door's open. It's nice outside, you know. So I'm trying Gyal Braids. The hair is it's Japanese Kanekalon. It's pre-stretched and it's vinegar wash and apple cider vinegar. Apparently it's 52 inches. I thought it was shorter than that. Maybe that's a full length of the braid. So I think it's 26. Yeah, 26 inches when it's folded over. So I'm going to show y'all what this looks like too. It comes pre-packed. I believe it's the smallest option they offer is 8 packs in one. So I'm going to try to take it out really quick. Okay. This is it. It's nice. It's black. Unfortunately, I thought this hair was going to be black. It is not black. It's like a brownish hue. I'm going to just have to do what I got to do. They didn't have any brown hair. It's a very popular brand right now. So I believe it just sold out. So that's why I couldn't get a hold of it. Oh my God. Anyways. Yeah, this is what the hair looks like. I think I'm going to show y'all pre-parting, even though I've showed it a million times over. I do pre-part a little differently than I have in the past. I will show that segment. But I'm not going to show the braiding process. I'll probably show you about 3 braids at the top of my head. just because I've also showed the braiding process multiple times on my channel. I will link it here. This is how to braid, and then this is also how to pre-part. Okay, so you guys should be great. I'm just going to show you guys what the base looks like after I pre-part it. I'm going to tell you, like, my hair looks a little crazy right now because I'm about to do it, but basically I'm going to part across this way, and then I'm going to pre-part the back in rows, and then I'm going to come to the front and I'm going to part the front portion. Now I should have two sections. I'm going to part that section in half, and then I'm going to match the lines up with the back portion, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, so that's basically it. So I'll show you guys my base. I believe I'm going to do small box braids. It's going to take me all day, but it's all good. All right, so in order to do this, I did end up FaceTiming myself on my iPad. I have a phone, another phone, and then I FaceTime my iPad, and that's how I'm able to part so clear right now. Typically, I would just have the 2 mirror method, but this method was actually easier. I just screen recorded what my camera was FaceTiming essentially, so the quality is a little lower than I normally have it. Typically I record in 4K, but for this purpose I was unable to do that, but it still turned out pretty clear and you're able to see everything. And another note is that, listen y'all, I suffer from scalp psoriasis. It's never been diagnosed, but I'm pretty fucking sure that's what it is, because my scalp be so flaky and dry. I literally washed my hair a week before doing this style, and it just, like, my scalp still looks dry. Yeah, I straightened my hair and I washed it a week prior, and I knew my scalp was a little dry, but I was just like, you know what, I'm not rewashing my hair for this style. I'll just figure it out, and did. So once you guys see how it ends up looking, my scalp isn't dry, there's not flakes everywhere. As I parted, before I started braiding, I would just make sure, like, I removed any, like, basically debris in this case from my scalp, just to make sure I wasn't like putting product on top of dandruff. So as you guys saw, I parted the back from ear to ear, and now I'm parting from ear to ear again, but from a different angle. And then I'm just going to part my hair as close to I can as the back. I know it's not going to be perfect, but I try to get it as similar as possible to the lower half of my head, just so that my rows are uniform, if you get what I mean. So I'm just going to continue that. I'm showing you guys how tedious it is to part your own hair. I really wanted to clip out a lot of this, but I feel like that makes it look less authentic and people feel like I'm making it look easier, but in reality these are the clips that I typically remove, me reparting the same section like 3 or 4 times, sometimes more than that. Typically I clip that out, but in a sense I definitely did clip out some of those excessively reparting segments, because I'm gonna be honest, it takes me about 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours to pre-part my hair, and a lot of the time for me it's just a rough draft. I don't necessarily end up sticking to that, and I did it that way exactly for this hairstyle as well. So I did end up pre-parting. My intent was to follow it to a T, but I had a hiccup along the way, and I'll explain that later once we get a little closer to the scene where I can kind of go into details about it a little more. But as you guys see, it's like a lot of just nitpicking. You guys saw how I measured the end, like the beginning of that row. I use the end of the comb most of the time because that's about 1 inch, and typically with box braids that's typically how big you want the box to be. So that's a good reference point for me all the time with my hair. It helps out so much because it's kind of hard to gauge and measure with your eyes all the time and for it to actually be accurate. So I love that method, and this is where I effed up. All right, so I accidentally, that part that you just saw me do, I did it a little too low compared to the level of the beginning of the part. So where I started versus where I finished, it was a little off. So it wasn't a straight part, it was a little off. And I didn't realize this until it was too late. So once I basically finished parting my hair, that's when I realized it. And the reason I realized it is because when I parted the front, like my hairline across the entire front of my head, typically it's about 6 rows on each side. So if I part my hair down the middle, it's going to be 6 rows on one side, 6 rows on the other side. but I noticed that I had 7 rows instead of 6, and this did make me panic a little bit. But I was just like, you know what, it's a rough draft, I'll fix it or figure out where I messed up once I actually start braiding. I don't know if you guys know, but your scalp is, it's like a pliable, it's just pliable, like it moves, and that's just normal. So some people's scalp shifts more than others, and for me, my scalp is very shifty, so it's very hard for me to gauge how my hair is going to be parted once the style is completed, because my scalp ends up being stretched or either condensed based on whatever style I'm doing, if you get what I'm saying. So that is why a lot of times it takes me so long to part, because my scalp just be moving. It be moving, and I'm not making this up. I swear it is literally a thing in general, not just within the braiding community. In general, your scalp typically shifts. So as you guys see, that's just how I part. The top is typically an area that I struggle with a lot just because of perspective. It's kind of hard to see, but I ended up getting it in the end. Now I'm parting my hair down the middle. I always like a middle part. I feel like most people do. So yeah, I do a middle part, and then I continue to link those rows that I just did up to the front. So I use the back as a map, and then I basically just carry that line to the front of my hair, where my hairline is. And that's just how I typically part my hair. That allows my hair to look very, you know, like just perfect in my opinion. And this method works for me. It's been working for me for a while. I just haven't shared it with you guys because I don't know, I just feel like I've just been recording a lot of hair videos, and that tends to be the only thing that people want to see. But I'm trying to get my beautiful subscribers, you guys, out of that, and I'm trying to get more into more of a vlogging space, because I'm not one of those YouTubers that'll do strange things to their hair for views. I'm not doing that. I actually care about the health of my hair, and I don't want to portray bad things to our community, because I feel like a lot of times as Black women, we tend to want styles a lot that damage our hair. So I don't want to be a part of that problem. I feel like everybody should want healthy hair, and you should experiment with wigs. I wouldn't actually experiment with my actual hair. I don't really think it makes sense to do that anymore, just because it just doesn't seem realistic to me. But if you can maintain that, then by all means go off. But I can't maintain hair color in certain styles. I just know that my hair will be damaged, and it's not worth it in the long run. But yeah, that's basically it. So I'm going to continue to go through this, and you guys can watch, or you could just skip to the braiding part. But enjoy. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to go show you guys how I braid a portion in the front of my head. And I was so relieved. I look exhausted. As you guys see, I started in the daytime, and it's daytime again. So, you know, we're in a new day, and that's crazy. But one thing I don't do is I don't like taking breaks when I do my hair. I was literally surviving off of apples and bananas, bro. It is insane. I refuse to stop to eat, and I hate that about me, but I'll be getting the job done. So in the end, I end up being relieved, but I'll be torturing myself throughout the entire process. So right now I'm just kind of matching up that side to the other one. This is kind of the only place that I want my parts to be uniform. It's just because it's a middle part. So typically I try to match one side up with the other. I take out 3 sections of braiding hair. I'm kind of showing you guys the thickness of it. This all depends on your hair type. If your hair is thicker, obviously you would end up taking out larger portions of braiding hair. And then this is how the curly hair looks. I done dropped this hair multiple times. It didn't look like that with the back, as you guys saw from the earlier clips. But these are the small pieces that I'm going to end up feeding in to the base of the braid. And once I get to the end, those sections become essentially half of the size of the ones that I'm showing you right now, just because that would be technically the end of the braid. So you typically don't want to add in too much of a bulky piece of hair, because it doesn't end up looking good once you dip the ends. So right now I just braided over 2 times to lock in the base of my braid, and then I'm going to go in with some braiding hair, and you kind of just scoop it in, and you braid down. But for this purpose, this is the front of my braid, and I like to have a little bit I like to have the curly hair hanging out at the top a little more. So as you guys saw, I fed in the braiding hair, and then I fed in the curly piece right on top, and that's so that I can pull out a curly piece so that it, you know, it's like an accent piece, and I can do that a little earlier, a little sooner than I normally would. So now I'm feeding in another piece of hair, but I realized that I forgot to pull out the curly piece. That's how tired I am. And I'm going to section that piece out, and then I continue to feed in. This is how I braid the ends. Apparently the footage in between was lost, but it's okay. On the following braid, I'm going to show you guys the full process. So right now I'm just braiding to the end, and this is me. Well, I fed in the curly pieces, and then I just tie it at the end. So I tie a knot, a very small knot. I tie that 2 times just to lock in the hair so that I don't experience a lot of shedding. I do suggest putting a dot of glue at the end, because like nail glue, just because that just helps lock it in even better. So right now I'm going to show you guys another portion of me braiding, and I did the base 2 times over, and now I'm feeding in the braiding hair, and that's really it. So, you know, I'm pulling to make sure it's really tight. You don't want to pull too much because you can bunch the braid. And now I'm feeding in the second piece of braiding hair. So I braided over twice, fed in hair, braided over 2 more times, fed in hair again. And you just continue that process until you're no longer feeding in hair. So that leads me to my next point. So for me, I can feed in 3 pieces of hair and be fine. My hair is on the finer side. If you have thicker hair, once you get to the end of where your hair is actually in the braid, like the end of your natural hair itself, you may have to feed in more hair just to make the blend of the braid be more seamless, if you get what I'm saying. Like some people's hair abruptly ends and you can tell within the braid where it ended. So for that reason, you can always feed in 2 more pieces. But as you guys saw, I braided down, I pulled up the hair, and I continued to braid down past the blunt portion of the curly hair that I added in. And you guys see it's driving me crazy. I do end up like re-braiding it down. You got to braid really tight. But I clipped that out because I re-braided this like 3 times. It was OD. But as you guys see, I ended up being able to get it a little more seamless. That just helps in the end, so I don't have to clip as much, and it's less touching up that I have to do. So I prefer to re-braid it rather than having to go through and cut every single braid, because like I said, I have 99 braids in my head. So as you guys saw, I fed it in, I braided down like 2 to 3 times, and then I pulled up the hair. This hair is 18 inches. If it was longer, I would have been able to lock it in a little better. I do experience some shedding due to the way that I fed the hair in. If I would have braided down a little more before pulling the curly piece out, it would have been less shedding. So if you want to experience less shedding, you have to braid down more of that curly piece before you remove it from the body of the braid. I hope you guys are following what I'm saying. So I add in about 4 to 5 pieces on each braid, and that allows you to get this really full look. Normally when I don't want it as full, I just do like 3 pieces, and I try to make sure they're spaced out evenly along the length of the braid. So for me, this method works really well. I also wanted to see if it was necessary for me to seal the ends with glue all the time, and with this whole little knot method, it isn't. The only key I would basically say is try to do your knot at the end with the braiding hair. If you have any left over at the end, you can still do it with the curly piece of hair, but when you do it with the braiding hair and you dip it, it kind of melts and seals a little better, in my opinion. So right now I'm feeding in the curly piece. You guys see how thin that is? Like that's how you want it to be. So I feed in a very thin portion. By the way, I do end up using an entirety, I believe, like I had a little bit left over of the 2 bundles, but I don't think there's a way you can shortcut it. You definitely need 2 bundles of the curly hair if you want a very full look like I was able to get. And for the braiding hair, I believe I used 4 packs, like 4.5 packs out of the 8 that was sent to me. So I still have some hair left over for the next time I do my hair, and it probably won't be as small. I'll probably do medium, so that'll be like the perfect amount of hair for me. So you guys see how I'm braiding down until there's really not much braiding hair. Typically I want to pass the braiding hair and leave only a very small amount if it's possible. If it's not, I don't mind tying with the curly piece of hair. It's just as good. I just, as I stated earlier, I just have a preference. So yeah, so you guys see how tight it is and how small. It just looks perfect. So this is the last braid I am showing you guys how I did. So we're going over 2 times, one more time, and then I'm going to feed in some braiding hair right now. And you just scoop it in under your index finger, braid 2 times over. You can pull a little bit, make sure it's taut, and then you can add in another piece of hair right here, and then you braid down 2 more times. So for me, if you just have to make sure you're being consistent, at a certain point it'll become like secondhand nature to you, but for me, I add in the 3 pieces and then I start to focus on the curly pieces. Yeah, so there's no specific amount of braiding down that I do before I add in the curly pieces. I just kind of do it all over the place because I don't want it to look too uniform, but I just want to make sure that I'm adding in the same amount of pieces for a majority of the braids. So typically I did 4 in the front, I did 5 here and there, just because I started feeding in the hair higher up on certain braids depending on how I wanted the hair to fall. But yeah, it's such a beautiful look. I absolutely love the fact that I've been able to basically master knotless box braids because it's my favorite style of all time, and I could not imagine having to pay every time I wanted them done. Granted, it is a tedious task and it takes a long time. I still feel like it's completely worth it. I never want to pay somebody to do something I can do myself. So as you guys saw, I just braided down about 4 times and then I pull up the curly piece. I do suggest trying to make sure that your hair is a different texture than the hair that you're pulling out. My hair was very similar to the texture of the curly hair due to me straightening it. So in the end, I feel like once the style was done, I did notice that I left some of my hair on 2 braids. Literally, it's just 2 of them that I have to go back and touch up, and that's kind of annoying. But if I would have let my hair be a little closer to its curlier state, I wouldn't have made that mistake because it would have been very clear that that was not my hair that I was pulling out. So yeah, that's just a suggestion that I make as well. But yeah, you see, as you can clip the hair up so you don't end up constantly braiding it back in. You know, just these tiny things, these tiny adjustments that you can make just to make the braiding process easier and so you can finish faster. Yeah. Okay guys, so as you guys see, it's just so cute, the curls, like it's just perfect. I am so meticulous about this style itself. I like the looser waves in springtime. I want the tighter curls in the summer. I don't know, like I just have, it's the Virgo in me. But this is the edge control that I use, Bask Lather. Love it down. You do have to make sure your edges are damp when you use it. That is the key. I use a little bit of avocado oil for my scalp, and then I put the Mark Anthony Dr. Murray's beeswax instead of using styling jam. I've been told that a lot of the gels and stuff have carcinogenics in it, which are cancer causing elements, are you putting directly on your scalp. So I've been trying to avoid those brands. Bask Lather is not one of those brands. They're I believe it's black owned, and it's yeah, it's way better than anything else, but it's between that and the beeswax. Those are the only things I'll currently put on my scalp, because, you know, I feel like once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. So this is just how it turns out. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I was able to teach you a little something here and there. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me in the comments section. I'll definitely answer. But guys, stay tuned. I have a lot in store for this channel. I know I said this before, but I'm locked in, and I really just want to be, you know, do a little more on here outside of hair videos. So yeah, my next video will be a makeup tutorial of this makeup look. It's gonna be a little more, you know, this is kind of the softer form of this look, but there's steps that I did in order to make it smudge proof, and I'm able to wear shades. It's like my favorite summer makeup summer makeup method. I did it for my birthday a year ago, and it was phenomenal. I bought some Lorvay shades, and I was obsessed with them, and I was like, bro, I'm wearing these a whole night. I'm gonna find a way to make my makeup not be affected by these shades, and I definitely did. And like, it just eats, like, love it down. So stay tuned for that video. Hopefully I can post it by Friday. But yeah, I'm obsessed with these braids. I love you guys so much. I will catch you in the next video. Leave some suggestions of what you want to see, if it's something a little different. We're gonna get to know each other a little better. I feel like it's overdue. If you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Bye.